Seriously, what the hell was that? What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today is January 6th, 2021, and as if 2020 was not bad already. As you guys saw today, there was a big rally in Washington, D.C., and apparently a group of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol and went into the Senate and went all over the place. Now, as of right now, they're saying that only one person was seriously injured. Unfortunately, a lady was shot. I guess they found also some type of IED device like a pipe bomb or something of that nature. These stories are still developing, but I figure I would just give it a little insight on my views of what I kind of think is going on right now. I think really we're experiencing the backlash of not letting this activity be dealt with, I guess you can say. Now, I'm not sitting up here trying to take the blame away from them, because as a conservative, that was very painful for me to watch, to see people on my side of the aisle act in that manner, especially towards law enforcement, and basically act the same way as like BLM and Antifa act. This is the same way. Now, it's not to that extreme, because they didn't, burn down Washington, D.C. They didn't, destroy any vehicles or burn any buildings down. But to me, it could escalate to that level. But back to what I mean about this is kind of the backlash from that is for, I guess you could say, since the election, conservatives have been told, shut up. They've been told, we're not listening to you. We're not doing anything. And you can also include that with the COVID lockdowns, when they're saying, hey, we're losing our jobs, we're losing our businesses, we need to open back up. You have people basically, shut up, your voice doesn't matter. But then they see people like BLM and Antifa getting violent all throughout the streets. And then, hey, look, that's working for BLM and Antifa. So you're going to have those people, probably with some younger people. I don't see many older people acting that behavior. Now, from the pictures I saw, it was hard to tell who was, of what age. But I'm like, somebody older, they don't generally act that way. But it's really unfortunate that we're seeing it come to this point. I didn't think it would ever come to the point where you're seeing, Trump supporters act in such a manner of something, or I guess you could say not really even Trump supporters, but conservatives act in a manner that we're so against. We're so against, anarchy and chaos and this type of behavior. But people are getting tired. They're getting tired of feeling like their voices are not heard. And I definitely think when you put it to, who's really being heard in the media and who's being heard from the politicians, the left or the right. Well, I did that backwards, the left or the right. It's definitely the left. Why? Because they're the loudest ones in the room. They scream, they yell, they do the activities that, we saw take place today. Something I find very interesting, though, is the reaction from the left. And I'll get to the reaction of the right, but the reaction from the left is actually pretty good, because I live here in Washington, as I said in my, my video of who I am. I live here in Washington, so I know a lot of liberal people. They are outraged. How dare people do things like this? How we, this is proof of white supremacy and proof that you can get away with anything if you're white. Now, that's necessarily not true, because if we look at what happened through the George Floyd protest, all the way up to, Jacob Blake, which the officers just got acquitted yesterday. We're not acquitted, but no charges are going to be brought against them. Pretty much all those BLM riots and Antifa riots, you had politicians who wouldn't even disavow it. They wouldn't say, hey, this needs to stop. They basically let it rain on. And then you also had them paying bail and helping these people get out so they can get back out on the street and continue committing these crimes. So it's like you can't really sit up here and expect people to keep seeing this go on and not say, screw it, I'm going to act in the same manner. And another, they always talk about, I saw a lot of posts of people like, oh, well, they didn't use tear gas and stuff like that and rubber bullets. And I'm like, well, you remember, we're all old enough to remember, I thought, that a few months back, they wanted to ban the Capitol Police from using rubber bullets and ban them from using tear gas. So it's like you can't have it both ways. You can't have rules for me and rules for thee. So basically, you can get away with any, how the law is supposed to work is that everyone is equal under the law. So if you don't want tear gas used at a BLM protest and you want to put a law against that, then guess what? When there is a right-wing protest, Trump protest, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be the same thing. They're not going to be like, well, these are white Trump supporters, so we're going to hit them with gas. And these are I'm not even going to say black BLM protesters, because majority of the BLM protests I've been to, it's been majority white people. And, they show up and they, say they're little Black Lives Matter, or they show up in Black Bloc, which is, you can obviously tell they're Antifa. So you can't really sit up here and expect the police to do one thing to one side and one thing to the other, even though that's what they claim the police do. And I've never seen so many liberals defend the police. Like, I thought you guys wanted to defund the police and, basically abolish the police, have no police. So now I really hope this is an eye opener to the left that what happens, when your side is the one that's not doing it. You know what I mean? So what I mean by that is, what happens when it's not your side? Because think about it, liberals, they're not afraid of BLM and Antifa. They're an ally. They're a white ally, or whatever they want to call themselves. And now they're kind of saying, like, what happens when conservatives truly get, I guess you could say, violent or get a little bit out of control? Because it definitely does not compare to a BLM or an Antifa protest. It does not compare at all. Now, the reaction that I'm seeing from people on the right is what I kind of expected. Pretty much almost everybody does not accept this behavior, and then we think it's wrong. But we also have that understanding that people are getting tired of not being heard. And it's kind of the same argument that they have, like for BLM and all that, oh, well, no one's listening to us. But the difference is mainly between what happened today and what happened throughout the summer with the protests is that the people on the right, the people that stormed the Capitol, their issue was with the politicians. So they went out and went after the politicians. BLM and Antifa, their problem was with the police. They didn't even take their fight to the police, kind of, somewhat, but they went and destroyed a whole community or multiple communities for innocent poor people, innocent black people, single mothers, all these jobs. They're burning down businesses. They're destroying stuff. They're killing people. Matter of fact, today on Facebook, I had someone comment and says, well, the difference between an Antifa and BLM riot is that no one dies. And I was like, really? Because Antifa and BLM have not had any protests or anything that resulted in anybody's death? And he said, no, name them. So I went and I named off of quite a few and also showed pictures and was like, yeah, so, and then he just kind of basically never minded. But I think I'm going to leave it that right there for now, just because there's so much other things that are developing with this story. I just kind of want to get a little video out there, kind of my first reactions on it. Yeah, so comment down below and tell me what you guys think. And do you think that this was like Antifa that showed up dressed up like Trump supporters and just to give them a bad name? Do you think it was solely Trump supporters? Or kind of what are your guys' thoughts that led to this?